Hey everyone, I'm back with another flashlight review, and today I have one of the latest lights from Acebeam which I've received for review, and this is the Terminator M1. And if the front of the box looks a little confusing, I'll explain it to you here in the sense that what this is actually two flashlights in one. And as it says here on the box, it's a zoomable flashlight, but that is for this portion of the light, which features an LEP. The other side of the light, right here, features a standard LED, and it actually comes in two different formations. It comes in a cool white and a Nichia version. Now, I happen to have the Nichia version. I have removed the interior of the casing here to show you. So on the actual box here, it does indicate CRI 90. So this is the Nichia version, which I was sent for reviewing purposes. So I'll explain that as we go along. But as you can see, the LEP portion of the light on this side features 700 lumens as its top output, and the LED features 3,500 lumens. So it does offer two different types of beams. The LEP is zoomable, so it has a focusing beam on it, and the beam on the standard LED is fixed. So there are two different types of lights here for people that like the flexibility of having two different types of beams. One of them is a floodlight, more or less, and the other one is a spotlight. And the two buttons here on the front of the light indicate how you operate both portions of the unit. On the back of the box, or on the back of the liner here, it does indicate what each of the outputs are for each of the lights. As I say, the one I have is Nichia, which is, for the most part, usually a slightly lower output. It's a warmer tint than the cool white would be, and is often a slightly less intense output. I did not find any information on the beam of the Nichia. Their Acebeam's website does not mention it. It mentions that the Nichia is available, but it doesn't give any statistics on the actual beam itself. I was hoping to get information from the company themselves. To date, as of this recording, I've not been given any additional information. Should that change, I will update or put it in the notes or let you know what the findings were. As you can imagine, it is a very bright light under either of the circumstances. As you can see, it has a strobe mode, it has moonlight, it has low, and two medium settings, followed by a high and a turbo. 3,500 here being the top output on turbo. That theoretically is supposed to run for about 90 to 100 seconds before it actually does an automatic step down to around 1,000 lumens, which should give you about 2.5 hours of output. And high is 1,000, medium 2 is 500, medium 1 150, low is 50, and moonlight is 1 lumen. And over here you have the focusable beam, and it gives two different sections of output here depending on whether the beam is focused or whether it's, well, either tight or wide, I guess you could say. It has a maximum focus and a minimum focus, and there are your outputs for both as far as turbo and so forth is concerned. 400 for the maximum and 700 for the minimum. So you can either pause the video and look at that at your leisure if you prefer. You will notice here it's also impact resistant to 1.5 meters, and of course it's submersible underwater to 2 meters. So here's its very sturdy box. It comes with this pouch to carry it in. It doesn't have a standard lanyard, but it does have this pouch which you can close, and on the back you will see that it has a belt loop on it, so you can put this whole pouch on your belt if that suits you. And the pouch is very padded, very secure, very, it's certainly good enough to carry the light in if you need to. Here's some information you'll get with it. This, which appears to be a manual, is not a manual. It's more or less of a warning statement in about 20 different languages. What I thought was very strange is that they did not supply an actual manual, which is unfortunate. So some of the features of the light I've had to learn on my own, or from what I've been able to deduce. Hopefully, if you buy this light, you will get some sort of a manual, but here you have a warranty card and a product certification card. The light is right here, and as I said, it pretty much looks exactly like it does on the front of the box, and it's pretty much lifelike size as it's pictured on the front of the box. It comes in a couple of different colors too. I believe there's a green version if you want that, but this is a kind of a standard khaki version perhaps. But here are your two LEDs. Now let me move this out of the way. So here are your two flashlights. You have the one with the fixed beam right here, and you have your focusing beam right here, the LEP and the LED. A couple of specifications to mention. It's just a hair over 4 inches tall or long, and it's rather hefty, very hefty in fact. It weighs about a little under 12 ounces. So it has some extreme weight to it, and if you are carrying it, just be aware of that, carrying it either in your hand or in the pouch, that it does have a fair amount of weight. So here are the buttons, and this one here switches between the two beams, and your standard power button is right there. And like any other flashlight, if I turn it on and press and hold, I will cycle through the modes. And of course it has mode memory. It comes with the battery, and it's right here in the base on this side. And it's a 21700 battery, so it will last you a fair amount of runtime, 5000 mAh, and it's also USB rechargeable right there with the USB-C charging port. As you will notice, it does not come with a charging cable, and this is kind of magnetized in a way, not really, but it just fits into the cap there nicely, and there's a spring up inside the tube there. You probably can't see that. Other types of 21700s should work in the light if you choose not to use this one or choose to use a different battery while this is out charging. You'll notice that it does protrude from the bottom of the tube. I tried another battery in it which was not quite as long, and although it worked, the connection was a little bit iffy here and there just due to the fact that it wasn't as long as this one. This is a long cell, and it's also not quite compatible with a lot of chargers. I mean, if you have a standard charger like this My Boxer, which I use a lot of, it won't fit in this charger. You'd have to use a different kind of charger which would accommodate a longer battery if you were to charge it in a charger, as opposed to just plugging in the USB, which is obviously the easiest thing to do. If you do that, you'll get a little light up here. It'll light up in red here if it does need charging, and of course it'll. I think it turns. I believe it turns green when the charge is finished. Either way, it won't be red. And there's also a battery indicator on the side of the light anytime it is turned on. Thusly, you will see the indicator right here. It has to be, or it can be, anywhere down to about 20% charge before this turns red. So it'll be green from 100% down to about 20%. Below 20%, it'll be red. And then I think if it's below 10%, it'll flash red. So it will eventually show you that it needs charging. So again, I did turn this on a minute ago and did the press and hold on it, which cycles through the modes. Turbo is accessible only by double clicking, like that. And Moonlight is only accessible by pressing and holding before you turn it on. And there's your Moonlight in the standard beam. So there are your 3 Nichia LEDs, as they are in this particular version. And over here is the LEP. So if I turn it on and then I press the button here, that will change to the LEP. And your focusing is, of course, right here on the front, or actually the whole lens is the focusing portion. So if I do this, well, it was almost turned all the way in for the tight focus. If I turn it back this way, it opens up for the long focus. There really isn't that much travel between the two. It's not, it only does about 3 turns to actually change from one size beam to the other. But let's do the old wall demonstration here. So let me switch over to the standard beam. And of course, if you're on a particular beam, just pressing that button, the power button, will turn it off. And then it'll come back on in whichever beam you were on before. I can switch back and forth very, very easily just by tapping the LEP LED toggle switch. It just toggles back and forth. So again, if I turn it off in that one and turn it back on, it'll still be in it. If I leave it on the standard beam, turn it off, turn it on, it'll still be on the standard beam. Anyway, let's do the old wall demonstration here. And the beam is really beautiful. It is a spotted beam. I don't mean spotted, I mean, well, it's a floodlight beam on the standard LED. It's very floody, and this is nice, a nice warm tint. You may not be able to tell too well from the camera, but the Nichia, of course, is a nice warm tint. And let me see, I think we are on, so there's low, medium 1, medium 2, and high, and then it'll keep going back and forth like that. Low, medium, medium, high, low, medium, medium, high. And then if I double click, I'll get to turbo. There's turbo. Of course, one press from that will take it off, turn it off. Another press back on, it will be back in the high mode. And here is the low mode right here. Turn that on. Oh, I left a light on here. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, that makes a difference. All right, press and hold. I'm now in Moonlight, which is great for anything up close and or even a few feet away. This is Moonlight. And then, of course, there's low, and there's the first medium, and the second medium, and high, and turbo. And to get to strobe, you would press 3 times, and there is the strobe mode. Let me see if, yep, strobe is accessible from any mode. So wherever you have it, strobe is accessible. And strobe even is accessible if you're in the LEP as well. So that's the LEP strobe. So there's your LEP, and there's your regular beam. This is the mode, or rather, this is LEP as it is focused all the way out. So this is as wide as you will get the LEP. let me see if while I'm holding the camera here, yep, I can twist it down. And here is the LEP in its focused mode. I'm going to show you a couple of outdoor pictures here in a second, because the focused LEP is pretty amazing outdoors. I believe the indication, or from the specs that I saw online, did indicate that this beam will go about a mile outside when it's tightly focused. And of course, any flashlight beam will reflect on signs, you know, road signs and so forth, so you can shine this down a main road and you'll be able to see the reflective signs from at least a mile, you know, thousands of feet, if not more. And obviously you can stop anywhere within the focusing portion to have the beam as wide or as small as it is able to go. Alright, so let me show you some of these outdoor pics, and we will go from there. Okay, I hope those pics were useful and gave you some indication of how you can use the focusable beam outside and what kind of distance you'd actually get with that. But it is a very unique flashlight, certainly a kind of design that I've never seen before, and is rather new for Acebeam as well. So there is a lot of flexibility with this light as far as what it is. Now, I'll talk about carrying it for a moment here. Obviously, it's not a standard flashlight. So to carry a standard flashlight, you simply hold it, you know, and you've got it nice and tight within your hand. This being quite a bit different than that, and you can hold it in any number of ways, as you can imagine, and it may take a little bit of getting used to. The good thing is, for as bright as it gets, and for the style of the light, it doesn't really it gets warm, but it doesn't get hot. So that's one thing in its favor. But as I say, holding it can be a little bit tricky at first, because you've got to, I find carrying it almost like this is good, and then being able to operate it with your finger like that. I mean, you can obviously tell the buttons very easily between the two. There's no guessing as to which button is which. The only other thing that I've found is that sometimes if I'm fiddling with something, or if I'm wearing gloves, and if I'm trying to balance the light and something else, I may inadvertently turn it off while I'm carrying it outside in the dark. That's happened a couple of times. So that's one unfortunate part of it, is that if you're handling it and not realizing what you're doing, you may switch it off. But the buttons are easy to find. But again, you know, left-handed, right-handed, you can pretty much figure out a way to carry it which is convenient for you, and which you can have good thumb use, no matter which way you're carrying it. So just keep those tips in mind. And if you'd like to make a purchase of it, you can click the link in the description of the video. Ask me questions if you need to, and of course we'll discuss it that way. Thanks for watching the review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been useful. We'll see you next time. Take care.